even as a source of frustration. The point is that we are so overwhelmed and so frustrated that we're living a life that is so busy, a life that is moving faster and faster and faster. And guess what? We're losing touch with ourselves. I was hoping that the team at the back could have put up my theme for today, because I want to talk to us about the essence of passion. How it is that we lose touch of our lives, and how the essence of passion can help us to get back on board. I'm sure you're asking yourself, what is this passion? What am I passionate about? What inspires me and stirs my soul? So what is passion? It's an intense emotion, a compelling enthusiasm, a desire for something. It is not in our head, but it is in our soul. And guess what? It is the God that has created us who has given us that passion. Because it is our passion that empowers us to be able to do the things for which we were created for. It is our passion, that quality, that keeps us going when the going gets tough. Our passion thrusts us into the thrones of life to accomplish the things we dream of or we want to accomplish, and more so what we were created for. It is our passion that takes us into a higher dimension with authority and conviction. We need this passion to persevere and to withstand all the obstacles and the very frustrations and all those things that overwhelm us in life, so that we can fulfill our purpose. The true calling of our lives is a journey of self-discovery for our authenticity, our creativity, our natural talents. We keep searching, what are these? When we tap into our inner dynamism, our inner self, only then we can truly master the art of following our hearts. We begin to view life through a different lens. We begin to see things that we should have been doing a long time ago. We begin to disengage from all those things that try to keep us busy and have us so busy that we cannot even be focused on the things for which we were created to do. The inner voice speaks to us. And how many of us can attest to that? With this gut feeling that we get at times. And then we go and do something different, and we said, I should have followed my gut feeling. It's that passion that God has created in each and every one of us to do what we were created to do. We may not be perfect people, but we have a purpose. We may not have perfect situations, but yet still we're significant and we're unique. And we have been blessed with a rich body of emotions. We can talk, walk, smell, see, hear. There are people out there who don't even have those. I buried my 13-year-old grandson earlier this year, and half of those things he couldn't do. But we thank God for him anyway. And so for some of us, we even have that sixth sense of a keen, intuitive power. We have the five senses, and many of us are blessed with the sixth one, that keen, intuitive power. So our emotions are not like the plants out there. They don't need to have feelings to live, but we do. And if we use our feelings properly, they can become effective and motivate us towards our destiny. So you might be asking yourself the question, why we need to explore passion? Apart from it being what God has blessed each and every one of us with. Research has shown that if we live our passion, we add 8 hours of joy to our lives every day. So instead of us being grumpy, miserable, and doing a set of all other things that doesn't bring joy to our life, our passion can help us to impact our own lives, impact the lives of others every day if we live in our passion. I want to leave with you this morning 5 things about our passion. Its very essence, meaning the core nature, the important qualities of this passion. And the first thing I want to share is that passion and purpose are interconnected. Passion is that vehicle that drives our vision. That intense, emotional, compelling action is the energy of our soul. Purpose without passion lacks energy and that fiery nature that it has. Passion without purpose lacks focus and direction. The reading earlier on the scripture makes reference to Paul. Paul was one of the most passionate followers of Jesus Christ that ever lived. And we know the story about Paul on the road to Damascus. And when he was met with Jesus, or Jesus met him, Paul was forever changed. Before Paul was changed, what was he doing? His passion was about the religion and persecuting God's people. But when he met with Jesus, the passion that he received was one that he wanted to become like Jesus himself. He wanted to do what Jesus wanted him to do. And as Philippians 1:21 tells us, for to me, to live is Christ, and to die is gain. Paul's passion and love for Jesus were so strong that he was willing to sacrifice everything and suffer for Jesus. And we know Paul's suffering, beaten, stoned, whipping, shipwrecked. He gave up everything, family, friends, relationship, in order to know Christ and the resurrection of his power. And I just want to inject something here when we're talking about knowing Christ and the resurrection of his power. What Paul wanted to do was to know Christ, not know about Christ. When we know about Christ, we're talking about reading all about his miracles and all the things that Christ has done. But when we're talking about knowing Christ, is that we want to have that personal experience with Christ. So we need to know him for ourselves. So again, where did the passion for Paul came from? Like I said earlier, it came from God. Because Paul did not love Jesus and others with a natural human love. Our natural human love is very limited and conditional. We're not naturally capable of loving others like Jesus and Paul. But Paul is a great example of how a person can love just like Jesus. Through the Holy Spirit, Paul was filled with the agape love. And Paul's passion for preaching the gospel and reaching the lost was born. So he got his passion from God. We too have that access. We too have the access to this knowledge and this power of the passion. But we may have to make the similar sacrifices like Paul did. What are you willing to give up? Whatever it is, before we can walk into that newness of a renewed and regenerated life full of passion to fulfill purpose, we need to be like Paul. So Paul's testimony of forgetting what lies behind is a description of not that he wanted to really give up something, but he was saying, hey, you know what? I am captured by a greater passion. I am captured by a higher purpose. I am captured by the will of a higher calling. And you know what? I will gladly leave these things behind. I don't need them to where I'm going. I'm going places with God. And so that passion, that desire fueled Paul and drove him to the fulfillment of his purpose. What are you willing to give up? We don't need to dwell on our past. We need to realize that we have been forgiven and then move on to a new life, one that where passion is ignited. and look forward for a more fuller and more meaningful life. Our passion is our inner flame of wanting, craving, yearning. It's an energy of action that lights up from inside. It's not anything on the external. And our hearts, you know what? Many times keep telling us, hey, I need attention. I'm burning up inside. Take note of me. But sometimes we ignore it. And what we do when we ignore that burning is that we move farther away from what our goals and desires and accomplishments and those things we want to do. And then we want to say, oh, nothing is happening with me. Are you paying attention to the tension? The tension is that burning desire, that heart that is strobing and telling you, listen to me, listen to me. We don't need to let anyone know to what we are magnificently drawn to, but we should not attempt to dissect or to deflate the passion which gives us that rush and energy to move forward. You're most probably saying to yourself, but I don't feel anything. I hear you. All of us go through times when we don't feel anything. But you know what? We just have to keep trusting. Keep moving on with the Lord, and you will be filled with the passion. Pray for it. So the second thing is passion needs exposure. So in order to ignite your passion, you need to be exposed. Paul said that his goal was to know Christ, to be like Christ, and all that Christ had in mind for him to do. But in that, we sense that Paul had a quest. He still had what I call an insatiable hunger to know Christ more. And that is why he decided, we learned a lot last week about making decisions, that he was going to leave everything behind and he was going to follow Christ. He had this hunger, this passion, this longing to know Christ more. He wanted to have his experience and not to be interrupted with what is going on around him in life. Paul was passionate about people. Specifically, he was passionate about their salvation and their perseverance in the faith. And that passion fueled his preaching, his writing, his traveling, his praying. Paul was exposed. Because in order to go around preaching, writing, traveling, praying, it's everyone getting to know Paul. And when they get to know Paul, who, Saul? No, Paul. Galatians said, Paul said that the gospel I preach is not something that man made up. I did not receive it from any man, nor was I taught it. Rather, I received it by revelation from Jesus Christ. Paul had another gifting where he was having these revelations from Christ that help him to do his preaching, teachings, and writing. So he got that directly from the source. Okay? Like Paul, we need to be exposed. We need to press on, press forward towards our goal that God has called us for. That purpose, that higher calling. Let us focus all our energies on that purpose. Get exposed. Go do something that you have never done before. Get involved. Start writing a book, open a business, pursue higher learning. Get out of that book and walk on water like Peter did. Get connected. Because when you are exposed, you see that there are more options to your situation than what you only believe. And the good news is that passion can be ignited at any age. You don't have to be age 20 or under 50 to have a passion. Remember, this thing is coming from God. And he don't have no age discrimination. So at any age, you could still ignite your passion and fulfill your purpose. When I was pursuing my doctoral program, I attended a residency and I saw a person of great age. That's how I describe them. At first, I thought it was a professor. But then I learned after that this student, at age 77, that's when he got his bachelor's degree or his first level university degree. At the age of 80, he earned his master's. And then at the age of 90, he received his PhD. And I was like, Ooh, you know, and that alone told me that there's no age discrimination with passion and that you could achieve anything you put your hands, your mind, your passion, and purpose to do, irrespective of your age. And I believe that that student had a passion for studying that fueled him even to that great age. What is your passion? Who and what are you living for? Whom do you want to be? We can only answer these questions clearly as Paul if we know our purpose, and our passion will fuel that purpose. And it's always important to keep your passion alive because you need it to fulfill your purpose. People lack passion for a variety of reasons. And I particularly believe that one of those is meaning that they do not understand their purpose in life. We want to be passionate about God and his external issues, about our family, relationship, jobs that God has blessed us with, the calling that God has placed upon our lives, about the next generation and the lost. We want to be passionate about what truly matters. Youths and even matured adults, if you're pursuing studies for a career, find that deeper yearning that would drive and fuel you to complete. Don't start, stop, and drop out. Find your passion to study. When I again pursued my program, I was told from the beginning, my doctoral program, to start thinking about what I wanted to write for my dissertation. Because it was something you have to engage and live with for 3, 4, 5, or even 10 years, for as long as you take to complete the program. But the point was that whatever you were going to write about, you had to be passionate about it. Otherwise, you cannot sustain the time with it for successful completion. I am thankful and grateful to God for my educational career, for which was fueled with passion, getting exposed. I told some of you recently about writing a book. I've done it. It's with the editors now in the final stage. This was a new territory for me. I just get exposed because if I needed my passion to work and to accomplish goals, I need to get exposed. And so that book, I asked the guys in the back to just quickly put it up on the screen. It talks about the choice is yours. And it speaks to igniting passion for higher learning, where choice and passion was used to achieve what was achieved despite socioeconomic conditions. I will leave that for now and we can talk about that later. But the point is, do not engage study because you have to, or you want a good job, or you want a good salary. Some people, I understand, even calculate their salary even before they qualify or finish studying because what they're thinking is their purpose. My thing to you is if your heart is not in something, how would you do your best? You will not do anything significant. Ensure that your heart and passion is in it, whatever it is you're called to do. Are you still with me? Great. So our next point is that passion distinguishes. I don't know where my screen's gone to, but your passion make people connect with you to something, connect you to something and distinguishes you. When I was writing on passion distinguishes this particular point, I said, let me reference a few celebrities. When you hear about Microsoft, who do you connect that with? Bill Gates. When you hear about Apple, who you connect it with? Steve Jobs. When you hear about women in tennis, who do you connect that with? Serena Williams. When you hear about basketball, well, I mean, there are new ones, but long, long ago, who do you connect that with? Michael Jordan. Good. So you're with me. So you hear all about these things. And so when I was going to say, now I want to connect Paul. I want to distinguish Paul. But I hear someone saying, you mean Saul, that persecutor? No, we're not talking about Saul the persecutor. We're talking about Paul, the devotee of Christ. And he devoted his strength, his life, and his energy to the spreading of the gospel. Why? Paul, like those celebrities, were passionate, and their passion distinguished them. Whatever your passion is, allow it to distinguish you. Be known in the world, in your job, in your occupation, in your family, even in your church for your passion. You may be passionate about cooking and baking. You may be passionate about fashion. Whatever it is, let it distinguish you. If you're a teacher, teach with passion. If you're a singer, sing with passion. Okay? So what then do we do with those things that keep running behind us? For any successful person and working with passion, they have had to have problems and issues. And are these distractions for our purpose? Absolutely not. Because it is your passion that gives you the power you need. Your pain or that you've gone through with your problems and all of that, it only gives you that observation or that conviction. Because if you have not gone through a pain or a problem or whatever issue that you're deeming not working for you, how then could you have a passion to do something? I want to use this illustration of a woman who did not complete her high school learning because of abuse and everything, and she had to get out of school. But then she developed a passion because she didn't want to see any other young girl in her community go through that same thing. And her passion to helping others, when some structure was put around it, she created a whole, I don't want to say like an NGO, but something of that sort that was helping young girls to avoid the stuff that she had gone through. So your passion could be in any direction. She used her passion to help others. My next point is passion perseveres. Your passion is what makes you go the extra mile. Your passion is what makes you do more than what is expected. What is that precious thing that causes you to leap out of your bed every day? That thing that you're so curious about, that thing that you're drawn to, what is it? Now, if Nelson Mandela, and I'm afraid I have to use that, had not been incarcerated, had not been mistreated, had not been ostracized, as bad as it was, he would not have had the passion to do what he did, and God bless the dead. Mandela said that there is no passion to be found in playing small, in settling for life, that is less than the one you are capable of building. So you see, your passion can take you higher, take you to greater, like we see in Paul. So it is always hard for any of us to make sacrifices and suffer and persevere for anything that has little value. So we need to move with our passion, think bigger, dream bigger, aspire greater, work bigger, everything more than where we are right now. When you're passionate, you do not give up, you persevere. We